Hello, my name is Autumn Brown, and I am a researcher with Oklahoma State's Oklahoma Oral History Research Project. For our Activism and Education in the Civil Rights Movement Oral History Project, today, October 7, 2020, I'm meeting with my mom, Cheryl Brown, to discuss her experiences with school desegregation in Oklahoma City. Thanks, Mom, for talking with me today.
Okay.
Let's begin by telling me about yourself. Where were you born? A little bit about your family.
I was born in Oklahoma City. My mom, my dad, my two brothers, and now I'm married for 32 years, and I have two daughters, Charmaine and Autumn.
So, what was the community like when you were growing up? What part of town did you grow up?
Grew up on the east side, Northeast 16th and Terrace. It was fun. We had a lot of fun. We all played together. We all got along. Um, it was just actually great. We was all in the same boat. Uh, we helped each other out. Um, you know, it was just a great atmosphere that we lived in. All the kids got along. There was no fights. We went to school together. We just did everything together.
So, what do you mean by we were in the same boat?
Um, we was all poor, and we didn't even know we was poor. We just had a good time. I mean, not having this, not having certain things, it didn't bother us. We were just happy kids, and not we didn't worry about what somebody else had or somebody if down the street they had a new car or whatever. Whatever we didn't care. We just had fun.
Cool. Everybody talks about the close knit, how close knit the community was, and a lot of people talk about the fact that they grew up poor and didn't know they were poor. And so I'm starting to realize that community was almost like family, like an extension of family.
Well, actually, it was. We lived across the street from the lanes. Uh, Diagonal across from the lanes, up from the Jones. And right today, the lanes, we're all still close knit. Went to Terry's 50th birthday, and I was introduced as their sister because that's how close we were. And still close today. I still talk to Ruby, Teresa, Sicky, Terry. We still close today, and right now I still go visit their brother Bobby. That's been he's been handicapped since birth, and when I'm in the neighborhood, I still visit Bobby today.
Wow. So is there like kind of a nostalgia or there around the community? Because I know like in our neighborhood, we barely talk to people around us. I mean, we talk to people across the street and Mr. Lamb, but that sense of community isn't present now.
No, it's totally different. Actually, I was talking to my husband probably about 2 weeks ago and talked about how um, the neighborhood has changed. Where we growing up, we knew everybody on the street. We knew everybody. We knew Niecy, the Williams, the Dewberries, everybody on the street. Down the street, a whole block from us, the Henrys, um, the Taft, on the other side of the street. We knew everybody, but now in the neighborhood, I know my next door neighbor, I know my cross the street neighbor, and another cross the street neighbor. I don't know my neighbors like I did growing up. We wave each other, but I don't know their names. But growing up, I knew everybody. I knew people 2 blocks from us, the Henrys, the Maddens that lived on 17th, 18th. I knew the Jeffersons that lived on 18th and 19th. The Post that lived on 19th. I knew people on Hardin Drive, the Washingtons, everybody on Hardin Drive, the Wilsons. I knew all the way up from 16th and Terrace to 23rd. I knew people and we hung out. But now I don't even know my neighbors up the street.
And how important was that as a kid to know all of those neighbors and far and wide?
I don't know. It was just important. Growing up, you knew your neighbors. You trusted your neighbors. We would stay out 12, 1 o'clock at night in the morning. My mom never worried about us going up to 23rd, going up to 18th, going up to 19th, going down to 15, 14. My mom never worried about us. Teresa and Terry and myself, we would leave early Saturday morning, 7, 8 o'clock Saturday morning. We didn't get back 5, 6 o'clock that evening. My mother never worried about us. But I worried about my daughter going 6 houses up, when she was younger. I was worried about her, um, just going up the street. I had to watch her and make sure she made it up there okay, But growing up, my mom never worried about us. We were gone all day long.
And that seems to be a consensus. Like people will talk about we could play outside and our parents wouldn't worry about us because they knew other people would be taking care of us. They didn't have to worry about people kidnapping us or anything like that. So what schools did you attend?
I, I attend Creston Hills from kindergarten through 6th, and Taft Middle School from 7th and 8th grade, and then I was bused to Taft 7th and 8th, and Capitol Hill from 9th through 12th grade.
So you were bused to Taft. What do you mean by you were bused?
We was bused. We actually I should have went to John F. Kennedy, which was probably 2 blocks from my house. But then busing came, and so we were bused from 16 to Northwest 23rd in May to Taft Middle School.
Okay. How was the busing experience?
It wasn't something we was looking forward to. I think all of us as 6th graders, we was ready to go to John F. Kennedy. We were so excited about going to John F. Kennedy, because we're going into junior high school. And I remember the day we was on the blacktop and we was told that we would be bused and not being able to go to John F. Kennedy. And they told us that some of the teachers told us we would be bused to Taft Middle School. And I just didn't really believe it until I got home. And my mom, also told us that, she found out that we would have to be bused to Taft. And a lot of my classmates, we was upset because we was all ready to go to John F. Kennedy. We were going to junior high school. We get to walk to school. But now we was bused, I don't know how many miles from 16th to 23rd.
So was that the first year that busing began? Or was it occurring before?
That was first year. I do believe it was first year. It was like 1972, 73. I think I was going into 7th grade, so I think I was 12 going into 7th grade.
Wow. So how early would you have to get up to catch the bus?
We had to get up extremely early. The bus, we had to be at school at 8, so we had to get up around 5:30 to catch the bus by 8 o'clock.
Dang. So how was Taft Middle School? What was your experience like at Taft? Was it predominantly white?
Well, I guess it was. When I just remember when we went to Taft, it was a lot of white, but then I didn't hang out with the white kids, so I hung out with all of my friends from from Creston Hills, so I didn't see it as all white. I mean, it was a lot of whites there, but I saw a lot of blacks as well.
What were your teachers like? So going from Creston Hills, where you had like all black teachers, what was that educational experience like versus going to Taft, where you had more white teachers?
I think Creston Hills, we had Miss Keaton, Mr. Holloway, Miss Christian, and I just realized I didn't realize it that Miss Keaton and Mr. Holloway, they was such good teachers, and they demanded more from us. Mr. Holloway, I just was talking to one of my good friends, Andrea, and we was talking about Mr. Holloway, how Mr. Holloway will he demanded the young men wear their shirt inside their pants. Um, if they came to school with their shirt outside their pants, they got swats. He made the young men to always to respect young ladies, and when we went to lunch or to playground, we had to stand in a single line, and he demanded respect from the kids. He taught the young men to be young men's. You know, the boys to be young men's. I mean, I remember kids coming to school and they would have their shirt outside, but before they went in that class and went into the schools, they made sure their shirt tail was tucked in because they know what Mr. Holloway demanded. He demanded he would not let a young man, a young boy, wear a shirt tail outside. And Miss Keaton, she was just. We thought she was a mean teacher. Everybody talked about Miss Keaton. Oh, she mean, but yet everybody wanted Miss Keaton because she demanded you do your work, and she demanded you do the best. She wouldn't take anything less. And we still talk about Miss Keaton and Mr. Holloway right today.
So then going to Taft, what was it like? What were the teachers like there? What was your educational experience like at Taft?
It was somewhat different. I do remember a couple of my teachers, Mr. Oscar Thomas, Mr. Marvin Mack, which I still see Mr. Mack right today, Mr. Matthews, Miss Zanders. Those was all black teachers, and those four that I remember that also demanded and made sure that we what's the word that we didn't come up there and just play. I mean, right now, I remember how Mr. Mac will, he will bust us, and back then we get busted, get our butt busted. It was good. I mean, we didn't go home telling mama, daddy, because we know what if we got busted. It was, we knew, we had did wrong, and we didn't go home tell our mom or anybody. We just took the punishment and went on. Right today, my mom still don't know some of the things we did or I did at Taft because I knew if I got busted, I was supposed to. I wasn't going to tell my mom because I would get it again when I got home.
Okay, so then when did you go to high school?
I went to
Where?
Capitol Hill High School.
And you were originally supposed to go where?
Douglas High School, 6 blocks from my house. I was bused from 16th and Terrace to the south side, Southwest 34th and Walker.
So when I hear about the forced busing, I hear that the schools on the north were a little bit less violent than being bused to the south because the south side was very much like a sundown state. So what was it like being bused to Capitol Hill or to the south side where it was very much like predominantly white?
No, it was. It was very racist at Capitol Hill. I mean, they let us know that they did not want us out there. There was times that we would get to school, and within an hour they had called the buses back to pick us up. That's how bad it was because that's how fights was going on. They let us know that did not want us out there. I mean, within an hour, the buses was coming back to pick us up. That's how bad it was.
I mean, what happened?
I mean, it was just riots. You know, the white kids at Capitol Hill did not want us out there. I mean,
what would they do?
I mean, they was fighting, and they were fighters, and the blacks didn't step back. I mean, they come at us. We defended ourselves. We didn't want to be out there. They bust us out there. We was perfectly fine going to Douglas High School. That's where all my family went, was Douglas. So I was ready to go to Douglas as well. But they bust us to Capitol Hill, and the kids wanted to fight, and we followed. You know, we didn't want to be out there. You know, it wasn't our choice to be there.
Wow. So when you were bused back after an hour, I mean, did y'all just stay home the rest of the day?
Yeah, we just stayed home.
And then the next day they bust y'all right back out there.
Went right back out there.
And I mean, what was it like?
It was, you know, it calmed down a little bit, but you know, they still let it be known that they did not want us out there. But as far as staying, we stayed, and I don't think we was ever sent back home after that day.
So you went to I know you just went to your reunion, and what was it like? I mean, because you had the white kids and you had the black kids. So now, present day, are y'all still segregated, or do y'all mingle still now?
It was still pretty segregated, because I remember going to my 40th anniversary in 2018, and I still remember the white on one side and the black still hung out by themselves. I mean, we spoke to them. I still have a friend, classmate that I talked to, Scott Hamilton, and but basically, I still remember that the white was on one side of the room and the blacks was on the other side, and we all just, you know, stayed with the black side, and the white stayed with their group.
So what was the education like? What were your teachers like? I mean, so if the students didn't want you there, I mean, were the teachers just as like, we don't want you here either?
No, some of our teachers, we had good teachers. I remember Miss Thomas, Mr. Norton, Miss Johnson. We had some good teachers, even though it was predominantly white. But we had quite a few black teachers out there that everybody absolutely migrated to. I had Mr. Cunningham. He was my social studies teacher, I do believe, and he was a white guy, but he never treated us different. You know, he was pretty good. He was a pretty good teacher. Miss Thomas was our art teacher. Miss Jackson was our jewelry teacher, and then Mr. Peak was my history teacher, and so Mr. Norton was our black history teacher, and I did see Mr. Thompson, which was Ray Thompson, was our principal, and I could see that. I felt like he was very prejudiced, Mr. Thompson. But as far as teachers, they didn't treat us any different. I didn't see any difference in the teaching.
So you had a Black History class, like a whole Black History class?
Yeah, Mr. Norton.
And it was a whole semester?
It's a whole year. If you talk, yeah, it was Black History at Capitol Hill.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a matter of fact, my brother Robert was in the Black History class, Mr. Norton.
So now you work at Douglas. So reflecting on the type of education you receive, I mean, Black History, I've never had a Black History class. So reflecting on the type of education you had growing up, you said you had all these great teachers, demanded greatness, things like that. Now that you're at Douglas High School as an adult working there, how do you see the types of education differ?
I don't see it a whole lot different. I see that we have good teachers. at Douglas. I know we have good teachers. Only thing I see different is that when I was growing up, you was taught to go to school. You was taught to you need to get your education. I see now that some kids now that they don't value the education. They don't value their education at all. They come to school just to socialize. Um, I see them in ISS. I see the disrespect in kids working at Douglas, where some of the things they say to adults, my head would have been taken off of. My mom would have took my head off, or someone else would have took my head off if I'd talked to an adult the way some of these kids talk to teachers, just any adults. It's just unreal. It's not the teachers. I feel like it's the kids today. They don't value their education.
Right. And it's interesting because, I mean, when you were growing up, people saw, I mean, education wasn't accessible, clearly, because of segregation and stuff like that. So you look at education as your way out, but there was a need for it. Like, you need to get educated to become a doctor because we don't have black doctors, lawyers because we don't have. And so now I feel like we don't see the need for it because it's not as blatant, but it's more covert. Like, yeah, we can go to hospitals, but black women are dying at higher rates. So we still need black doctors, but that need isn't voiced, the same way it was then. So I just wonder like how we can get that to ring true to students now. Like, hey, just because everything is open to y'all doesn't mean it's good. We still need y'all to matriculate and come help the community. So I don't know. It's just interesting. How old were you when you became aware of civil rights activism?
Probably going into 7th grade, 12, 13 years old.
And what made you become aware of it?
Being bused.
Mm-hmm. Like, what did you realize?
What did I realize? I remember. I remember Miss Keaton as a 6th grader. I remember how she would talk about Clara Looper, and I really didn't know who really Clara Looper was until Miss Keaton, Miss Christian, was pretty much would taught us a little bit about Clara Looper. Talked about the sit-in. That's when I found out more of the civil rights about the sit-in when Miss Keaton made us sit down and talk about the civil rights movement. And then of course I remember I remember when Dr. King was killed. I remember the day just sitting outside, and I remember playing with my friends across the street. I was only 8, but I still remember the day that Dr. King was killed because that's the first day that Tom's Market ever closed. Tom's Market never, ever, ever closed. Clyde never closed. But when Dr. King was killed, I remember Clyde closing that day.
Mm-hmm. So the sanitation strike, didn't we have a family member associated with the sanitation strike?
My grandpa, John Ari Mitchell.
Tell me about that.
I don't know. I don't remember much of Ari. I just know he worked for the sanitation department for like 30 some years, and I don't remember much of it. I just know he was at the time he was promoted to driver, but at the time he was the garbage man, and he was in the sanitation department. So I really don't know a whole lot about that.
I need to uncover that. That's interesting. So when you were at Creston Hills, which was segregated, did you know it was, could you feel the impacts of segregation? Did you know? Because some people that I talk to talk about, we just knew it was all us. Like we didn't know we, were poor in the school or. So what was it like attending that segregated school, K through 6th grade?
It was, I don't know, it was fun. I mean, we 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 all got along. Me working in Douglas, I see more fights than I ever seen in my life. There wasn't fights at Creston Hills. I mean, um, I remember, like I said, Miss Christian, Mr. Holloway, Miss Keaton, they just was no nonsense teachers. Um, we just all got along. We went outside. We played on the monkey bars. We played on the swings. We ran track. We just all got along. I just thought that's where it was supposed to be. I mean, because we was all black. It was all black. I remember one white neighbor, one white family moving into Creston Hills, Ernie Easton and Larry Quick. They moved on Miramar, 23rd and Miramar. And I remember Ernie coming to Creston Hills, and I just remember when he first walked into the building. I remember how he was white. We was all black. The whole school was black. He was the first white in Creston Hills, and it was a lot of fights with him. He had to fight his way, but eventually they accepted old Ernie, and Ernie's still part of the Creston Hills family right today. We still have reunion every year. Creston Hills have reunions um, every August, except for this past August with the pandemic. But we had one last year. We have them every year, and Ernie comes in from New Orleans. He comes in for the Crescent Hills reunion. But
Wow.
as far as we were just one big happy family, you know.
Yeah. Wow. Um, let's see here. So, as Oklahoma started to roll out their desegregation plan, so busing, what were tensions like? So you mentioned you were told on the blacktop that you would be bused, but what was the tensions like overall within the community when the news broke that schools would be desegregated, you guys would be bused out of the community? What was that like?
Well, I just remember us kids, a lot of us come up, we're not going to Taft, we're going to Kennedy, we're not going way out there. But we were just talking. We knew we was bused, and our parents, pretty much obeyed the rules and just sent us out there. I remember my mom was kind of concerned because my younger brother was only first grade and he was bused to Bodine off of Bryant, and my mother had to be at work at 6 in the morning, and it really concerned her that being a first grader, you were 6 years old, having to catch the bus by himself. That really concerned her. But I think she took off a couple of days to help him get used to showing him where to catch the bus. But it scared her, to have to send her first grader way out on the south side to go to school.
And to go to school in a hateful environment, that was even scarier.
Yeah, it was.
So, well, I think that's all the questions I have. Do you have anything else to add about busing or school desegregation or anything surrounding that time period?
No, other than we just made the best of it. We didn't have any choice. We didn't have a choice, so we had to make the best of it. We went to Taft and we went to Capitol Hill, and I know Capitol Hill's changed uh, their name from Capitol Hill Redskins to Red Wolves. But if you talk to kids that went to school at Capitol Hill, they're Redskins. We are still Redskins, and we're really proud of being going to Capitol Hill. It was a great experience, you know. But we're happy that we ended up at Capitol Hill.
I have another question. So, what was it like outside the community? So, I mean, because segregation, you existed in this weird stage between like segregation and desegregation. So when you left the community and went downtown or just anywhere else, what was it like? Like, what did you experience?
Yeah, going downtown, you know, I guess maybe I didn't experience anything. It was always normal. It was normal to me, you know. I don't remember people looking at you differently, you know. Back in the 70s, you know, I as a teenager I worked at the Oklahoma City Police Department every summer, and it was great, you know. I mean, I didn't have any people try to disrespect me or call me names or anything, you know. So it was okay as far as I'm concerned. I didn't have any problems.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for talking with me today. Is
No
there
problem.
anything else to add or?
No,
Okay.
I think we covered it all.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking with me today.
Okay.